Ready?
Mm-hmm.
3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, welcome to the Waiver Wire selection again for this upcoming week. My name is Dr. Marco Nunez, performance athletic trainer, and with me, our other co-host is Landon Buford. Landon Buford, welcome again.
Hey, I'm glad to do another episode with you. Obviously, we with the busy schedule, it's kind of difficult to schedule these. You obviously, out there in the athletic trading space, and then me, obviously, freelancing anywhere I can. So happy we can sit down and actually do this again for the second week in a row.
Exactly, and our goal is try to do it on a weekly basis, hopefully every Tuesday, every Wednesday. If our schedules kind of permit, but like Landon mentioned, with my schedule and his schedule, we get pretty busy. We try to come together and do it at least minimum once a week type of thing. Mm-hmm. So we'll kind of get started. I think this one we have a nice little short one. We have 2 key injuries that you've probably heard out there if you're watching, the NBA seasons and the games out there. We can go in and get started whichever one you want.
Let's go with the biggest name in the business. Let's go with LeBron James. He said he heard a pop in it. They're saying I think it's a foot injury, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a foot injury, and we'll miss at least 2 to 3 weeks.
Correct. So that's the one indication, and Landon and I were talking right before the podcast. There's speculation that it might be a fracture. They're not sure what it is, type of thing. But one of the indications, like I was mentioning to Landon earlier, as an athletic trainer, one of the first things we ask an athlete when they go down with an injury, did you hear or did you feel a pop or a tear? Oftentimes when they do say yes, and I think there is a recording that shows that, LeBron had mentioned on there, says, hey, I heard a pop. Oftentimes that's not a great sign because that tells us that either one, there's some disruption or tear to a tendon or a ligament, so to speak, on that part. Now, in this issue, he has a foot injury. There's a difference between the foot and the ankle. The foot injury is more below the ankle. It's what's called the metatarsal areas down to the toes. Oftentimes, in this case, looks more on the medial side, which means on the inside of the foot. Looks like the injury that he sustained was more underneath where you would identify as the arch. There's a couple ligaments in there. It can be something simple as a plantar fasciitis tear. Athletes can tear the plantar fascia right in the middle. That can be something on the sort. That can take anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks to heal. And even then, when they come back, they have to kind of make sure, get orthotics, get tape, proper strength in that area to make sure you maintain the support. Because what happens as you step and the arch kind of sustains the arch, if you don't have that strength in there for the arch, the foot will dip every single time. And every time you dip it, you can easily aggravate that area there type of thing. So it's just a matter of what time of waiting and seeing. I think from what I read that he's scheduled for x-rays, but not actually additional MRIs and TC scans to kind of identify what is the true culprit in that thing. Once they do identify it, we'll have a better timeline.
So he had a boot last night. I saw a highlight of him in it, or they picked, hand scan and showed him on the bench in the boot. I was actually in the building.
That's true. He was in Dallas. Yep.
On Sunday afternoon, and he did not have a boot on. He was actually limping out. Obviously, there's a video out, but of him limping, but he did not have a boot on. Is that normal procedure to have somebody not in a boot as they're walking out the building?
So traditionally, you want to put the athlete in a boot, whether if you already know what the injury is, 1, or 2, if you don't know, but you want to be kind of more conservative and take kind of precautionary measures to make sure, hey, you know what, we're not sure exactly what's going on. Let's put you in the boot because we don't want you to aggravate it. More importantly, if you put him in a boot, that foot has a little more support, so you start beginning the healing process. Mm-hmm. Yes, you're right. I saw a video of him kind of walking, and he was limping excessively.
They didn't have crutches either. He didn't have crutches either. So I was like, should they have,
Yeah, on that part.
Yeah.
I mean, that's either issue, but at the same time, one thing that you always have to consider is the athlete or the adult who didn't mention sometimes has the last thing, and that's kind of the difficult part. Yes. Can we, hindsight's 2020, should have he been in the boot probably when he left the arena? That would have been smart. Should he had probably crutches just to kind of unload that foot to make sure that he doesn't aggravate it until they do an MRI and find out exactly what's going on? That would have also been smarter. If you go look back, I think we had talked about there was an athlete. Same thing with Dallas. Who's the main athlete there?
Dak Prescott
with the Dallas Mavericks, Doncic, right?
Luka. Yeah.
I remember he had injured his foot, and they sent him over to get X-rays or MRIs. And I remember there was a video of him in a boot, and everybody's like was panicking. Well, why is he in the boot? Why is he in the boot? I haven't signed him. oftentimes they put in a boot just for precaution. Hey, let's put you in a boot. Let's keep it safe. We don't know exactly what it is, but we're going to keep it there. At least the foot is supported. You're not overloading the boot. You're not aggravating anything, and we go from that part. But yeah, you're right. Then the next day he was in a boot. Which putting him in a boot is also not a positive sign. It could be the precaution, but we want to wait and see what happens. Now, the other question is maybe they did the MRI already, and they already know what it is, and that's why they put him in a boot.
Also, LeMelo went down with an ankle injury. He's out for the season. He also said he heard a pop as well. I guess no pun intended, but it was a popping, last couple of days. But but just your thoughts, on that injury as well. They're not being specific, but I mean, like, it's in the ankle area. So, so.
Yeah, so same thing as far as in the part he hit the pop. With LeMelo, they were able to identify the fracture right away. I'm sure they took him back to the X-ray room in the arena. Most arenas, actually all arenas, are required to have X-rays facilities within the arena. So they probably identified. They probably sent him for a CT scan later down the following day, just to confirm the severity, the degree of the tear, how deep the tear was. I mean, the break was, type of thing. Now, you're right. They haven't identified what bone in the ankle he has fractured. And then two, on a positive note, they haven't identified whether he actually needs surgery to repair that fracture. So that's a positive thing right now. Now, the other thing, they may just wait and see if it heals on its own. And then at some point, he may require surgery, but we're just going to kind of wait. But either way, a typical average fracture for the average person takes anywhere between 4 to 6 weeks to heal. That's with no surgery type thing. Now, that's just an average number. It can be up to 8 weeks. It could be up to 10 weeks. But either way, if you look at the 6 week marks, and I think from my understanding, the Hornets are not anywhere in the playoffs. I think last time I checked.
No, they're not going to the playoffs anytime soon.
So there's about 6 weeks left in the season. So there's no reason for him. The odds of him coming back are very minimal. And even then, let's say if he does heal in about 4 weeks, then you have to kind of rehab him, get him back in condition. And if he's your franchise player, are you really going to bring him back for the last 2 weeks to risk any further injury, whether to his knee, hip, or anything else? So that was a smart move for the Charlotte Hornets. Say, you know what, our season's done. There's no need to rush him. Let's shut him down, get him healthy for the offseason, and get him ready for next year.
And I don't think the Ball family would let that happen, especially since with Lonzo's dealing with right now in Chicago. So
exactly, and that's And I feel really bad. I think we talked about this last week, and I feel really bad for Lonzo, because I think that's some of the reports I keep reading about is that they've seen several doctors and no one has been able to really pinpoint the issue. They've been able to kind of identify things here and there that may relieve some symptoms or some pain, but no one has been able to say, hey, this is the issue. This is what's causing it. And I think he's going into his second season that he hasn't played. It happened last year, mid-season. He missed his full season. Now, I think the reports were talking about, hey, we're going to shut him down for the rest of the season, get him healthy during the off season, and get him ready for next season. But the only issue is that if you don't know what you're treating and what you're rehabbing, how are you going to rehab it during the off season and get ready for next year? I feel like at this point, they're just like, hey, let's just keep our fingers crossed. Hopefully it gets better in the off season, and we're ready to roll next year. So that's probably the frustrating part, both for Lonzo, the Ball family, and also the Chicago Bulls sports medicine staff.
I got two more questions because I know you got to get out of here. Where is he? SGA. He's out with an ankle and an abdomen, entering health and safety protocols Tuesday, and will be out against the Kings. So it sounds like he might have COVID. He's got an abdomen problem, and he has an ankle problem. So with that being said, how long do you think he might be out? And then what are those type of injuries in regards to the ankle and abdomen?
So like I said, the ankle injury, if he has a typical ankle sprain, I'm assuming that's just a first degree. You're looking anywhere between 7 to 10 days up to 14 days for an athlete to return from a mild ankle sprain. Your typical ankle sprain, the calcaneal fibular ligament is the one that gets irritated. Oftentimes the anterior talofibular ligament gets irritated, type of thing. If it's just a basic one, if we're looking more of second degree, you're looking more anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks, type of thing. As far as the abdomen, I'm assuming it's an abdominal strain, not like abdominal issues like intestinal, kind of the bubble guts type of thing. Then that's another thing as far as core stability that you can have to kind of incorporate. The abdominal area or the core area is one of the key components when you're an athlete and you're moving around, type of thing. So depending on the strain, also if they say abdominal, I'm assuming they're not talking about anything as far as sports hernia or hernia of the sort. So if we're looking at the typical muscle strain in that area, again, a mild one's anywhere between 2 to 4 weeks type of thing. So I expect them out probably at least a minimum of 2 weeks from the date of injury, minimum overall type of thing.
And how does they haven't said it was COVID, but I'm assuming with health and safety protocols, it's COVID related, right? So with that being said, how does that tack on to the current situation? Because I don't know what the regimen is for COVID when it comes to the NBA and its athletes to get them better or back quicker or whatever it is.
Correct. You see, and that So I think that all the protocols have changed over the year. They seem to change from month to month type of thing. So I'm assuming that if we go back to where the athlete has to be quarantined, I don't know if that's the new protocol. The athlete has to be quarantined. That also indicates that probably the sports medicine staff is not allowed to treat him or be involved with him or near him. So if he's out for 7 days, that's a full week of him not getting rehab, physical therapy, or any type of treatment to try to kind of get back. So that you may add that too. Now he is getting rest, so that can also help and attribute to it. But as far as speeding up the process and be able to get him ready, that's going to kind of hinder him or hurt him at some bit. But like I said, like you mentioned, I don't know what the recent protocols are in the NBA. Can the sports medicine treat him, wear a face mask, or anything of that sort?
Okay, so also Jose Alvarado, where is he at? Will be reevaluated in 3 weeks after being diagnosed with a stress reaction in his right tibia.
Fibula?
Tibia, yeah, with the T. Yeah.
So that's the thing. As far as stress reactions, is basically that the bone hasn't you don't have a full fracture in there, but there is a small indentation that the bone has overloaded in that part. Oftentimes, they'll do weekly or every 2 to 3 weeks. They'll do extras to try to see if the bone has kind of filled in or healed, so to speak. So it's not fractured to the point, but there's enough stress in it that they're concerned. On a positive note, if it is a fibula compared to the tibia, the fibula tends to have compared to the tibia. So it allows them to kind of be able to play or come back quicker compared to the tibia bone, which is that kind of the shin bone as you look at it. When you have a stress fracture, that bone takes the majority of the load. I think it takes about anywhere between 80-85% of the body weight load while you're running. So that's more detrimental. That was kind of the injury thing we talked about last week that Julius Randle had, that he fractured the tibia. And then we had to rehab him and stuff like that. So it's just a matter of waiting and seeing. Once the x-ray shows that it's filled in and it's cleared, then he's going to progress. And what they're going to do is they're going to probably progress him slowly into like what's called an Ultra G treadmill to see how his body reacts slowly by slowly. And then if it reacts positively, then he's able to return. So you're looking minimum 3 weeks, if not anywhere from another additional 2 weeks while he go ahead and rehabs and gets back into game condition. Which is a little frustrating because I think the New Orleans Pelicans were doing great at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, they were the number one. They were in the top 3. I think they were the number 1 seed at one point, and then Zion got hurt.
Zion got hurt, and then BI got hurt, and then Zion came back, and then BI came back. Then Zion is hurt now, and then Alvaro's hurt now. I know they've struggled since I think after Christmas or something like that. Like January, February, they've been struggling because they've had a lot of injuries down there because of that. So we'll see.
I think that is. Let me get one more glance, but I think that might be it. I know. I thought I saw Middleton, but he's off He's off the injury report. Fox is day to day. They don't even have a description for that. Most of these people that are day to day, they don't have a comment of why that person's out. So other than what we covered last week, that is pretty much the case. Yes, everything else we covered last week.
Okay. So let's wrap it up. That sounds good.
Sir.
So everybody, thank you for watching the show. If you like what we talked about and you're interested in some of these sports related injuries, whether it's NBA, later down the road, we're definitely going to do NFL. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button. Also follow myself and Landon on Instagram. You can follow me at Marco A. Nunez ATC on Instagram. And Landon?
Landon Buford on everything. You can find my writing that I do for my own personal brand is on my website at landonbuford.com.
Sounds good. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for watching.
Yep. Catch you next week.